Boris Johnson is refusing to buckle to unacceptable EU demands as a final showdown in the Brexit trade negotiations looms. MEPs have declared a trade deal must be thrashed out by this Sunday to have any chance of being ratified by the end of the year. But ahead of the deadline, the Prime Minister's aides have warned that intractable disagreements over key issues mean a no-deal conclusion to the talks is increasingly likely. They said unreasonable demands for continuing access to British coastal waters from French President Emmanuel Macron are threatening to scupper the negotiations. One senior government insider told the Daily Express, "It still feels pretty intractable to me." The mood of the talks turned dark very suddenly last week and there has been no sign of any improvement. Mr. Johnson has told allies that he is determined to keep negotiating right up to midnight on December 31, when the UK's transition out of the EU single market and customs union is due to end, to try to secure a deal. He is firmly resisting pressure from Brussels to cave in rows over fishing quotas, industrial subsidy rules and future regulations however. On fishing, the French are being as unreasonable as ever and demanding the status quo for 10 years. There is no way we can accept that. And then the EU want to exempt a string of EU institutions from state aid rules while tying us up in all sorts of knots. We cannot sign up to that either, the government insider said. Mr. Johnson and Ursula von der Leyen emerged from a phone call on Thursday night and concluded there were still big differences remaining, a statement from the European Commission President read. A Downing Street spokeswoman said, the Prime Minister underlined that the negotiations were now in a serious situation. Time was very short and it now looked very likely that agreement would not be reached unless the EU position changed substantially. He said that we were making every effort to accommodate reasonable EU requests on the level playing field, but even though the gap had narrowed, some fundamental areas remained difficult. On fisheries, he stressed that the UK could not accept a situation where it was the only sovereign country in the world not to be able to control access to its own waters for an extended period and to be faced with fisheries quotas which hugely disadvantaged its own industry.